Planet Vegeta orbit, age 737. Frieza's finger hovers over the button. Bardock's arm isn't there anymore. He's still standing, still fighting, but his arm is 300 meters away, smoking in the crater it made. The Viltrumite who took it stands in front of him, not smiling, not breathing hard, not even interested, just waiting. How? Bardock's been fighting for 30 years. He's killed armies, conquered planets, survived wars that left entire star systems burning. But this is different. The Viltrumite moves. Bardock sees it coming, blocks perfectly. His bones shatter anyway. The impact sends him through a mountain, then another, then another. He finally stops inside a canyon wall, blood in his mouth, vision blurring, and one thought: we were never the apex predators. We just never met the real ones. 3 months earlier, Frieza's finger hovers over the button. Below him, Planet Vegeta glows, millions of Saiyans. One press. But then, beep, a transmission. Dodoria plays it. Planets destroyed, no survivors, unknown species, flying, no ships, no technology, just bodies moving through space like living weapons. Frieza watches the footage. One figure punches through a capital ship. Doesn't slow down, doesn't stop, just keeps flying. Silence in the throne room. Then, Frieza laughs. Not his usual laugh. This one's different, lower, dangerous, real. How delightful. He turns to look at Planet Vegeta below all those warriors, all that violence, all that potential. His finger moves away from the button. Change of plans. We're not killing the Saiyans. We're going to need them. Present day, Bardock pulls himself from the crater. One arm, cracked ribs, spine screaming. The Viltrumite is already there, waiting, and Bardock understands. Now understands why Frieza kept them alive, why he sent them here, why he smiled. Because Frieza didn't save the Saiyans. He found something that needed killing and decided to watch what happens when monsters meet monsters. The Viltrumite's fist comes down. Bardock catches it with his remaining hand, feels his bones cracking, feels his power rising, feels something he hasn't felt in years. Growth. His wounds start healing, his power starts climbing, and he starts smiling. Because maybe, just maybe, Frieza made a mistake. The Viltrumite's eyes widen. Impossible. You're getting stronger. Bardock's smile widens.
Yeah, we do that.
So here's the thing about sending Saiyans to investigate a threat. They don't investigate, they conquer. And right now, Frieza's betting everything on that exact instinct. Because he's not sending scouts, he's not sending diplomats, he's sending a message written in violence. Young Vegeta stands at the front of the command ship, arms crossed, that trademark scowl already carved into his face. He's what, 10 years old? Maybe 12? But he's already killed more people than most armies. Behind him, Bardock leans against the wall, checking his scouter for the 100th time. He's quieter than the others. Always has been. While everyone else is laughing and betting on kill counts. Bardock's just watching. Nappa's cracking his knuckles. Raditz is polishing his armor. King Vegeta's elite guard, 20 of the strongest Saiyan warriors alive, are scattered throughout the ship. All of them ready. All of them hungry. None of them afraid. Because why would they be? They're Saiyans. They've never met anything they couldn't kill. The ship drops out of hyperspace above a planet that doesn't have a name in Frieza's database. Just coordinates. Sector 19, Outer Rim, middle of nowhere. Vegeta stares down at it through the viewport, and honestly he looks disappointed. This is it, he says. This is what destroyed 30 planets. Because it doesn't look like a military stronghold. It doesn't look like a fortress world. It looks normal. Blue skies, green continents, white clouds drifting peacefully, cities that sparkle in the sunlight. No orbital weapons, no defense satellites, no fleets, nothing. Bardock's scouter isn't picking up anything unusual either. Normal power levels. Civilians. Maybe a few slightly elevated readings, but nothing that screams galactic threat. Sensors show breathable atmosphere, someone reports. Standard gravity, population estimated at 4 billion. Vegeta snorts. 4 billion corpses, you mean? The ship descends. They land outside one of the cities. Standard procedure, secure a perimeter, establish dominance, wait for someone to surrender or fight back. Either way works. The landing ramp hisses open. Vegeta walks out first because of course he does. Pride won't let him be second at anything. The air smells clean, fresh. There's a breeze that rustles through some kind of purple grass in the distance. The city rises. Tall buildings, architectural beauty, everything peaceful and pristine. It's weird, really weird, because conquered worlds don't look like this. Conquered worlds look broken, scared, militarized. This place looks like no one's ever told them they should be afraid. Spread out, Vegeta orders, find whoever's in charge. Make them kneel or make them bleed. I don't care which, the Saiyans scatter. Bardock stays close to the ship, something nagging at him. His instincts are screaming, but he can't figure out why. Everything looks fine, everything reads normal. So why does he feel like he's being hunted? Young Vegeta walks straight toward the city, not bothering with stealth. Why would he? He's a Saiyan prince. He doesn't hide. He announces. Behind him, Nappa and 3 others follow, their boots crunching against the ground. They get about halfway to the city when Vegeta stops, not because he sees something, because he feels something. The air changes. It's subtle, like the temperature drops half a degree. Like the wind decides to hold its breath. Vegeta's eyes narrow. Show yourself, Silence. Then, a voice from above, calm, cold, almost bored. You're trespassing. Everyone looks up, and there he is, a man, just floating there. No ship, no jetpack, no energy signature that makes sense. Just a man in the sky, arms crossed, looking down at them like they're ants that wandered onto his porch. He's wearing something that looks like a uniform, white and gray, simple, clean, dark hair, strong jawline, and eyes that don't blink, don't show fear, don't show anything. Vegeta's scouter flickers. Power level, 18,000. That makes Vegeta pause. Not because it's high, because it's moderate. Strong, sure, but not destroyed 30 planets strong. Vegeta smirks. That's it? They sent us here for you? The man doesn't respond, doesn't move, just keeps staring. And something about that stare makes Vegeta's smirk falter, because this guy isn't posturing, isn't threatening, isn't trying to intimidate. He's just waiting, like he's done this 1,000 times before, like he already knows how it ends. Last warning, the man says, leave. Vegeta's pride ignites, I'm going to enjoy this. Then he moves. Vegeta's fast, insanely fast. He crosses the distance in a blink, fist pulled back, already imagining the satisfying crunch of bones breaking. The Viltrumite doesn't dodge, doesn't block, just tilts his head slightly and catches Vegeta's fist with one hand. Like it's nothing, time seems to freeze. Vegeta's eyes widen, because his punch, the same punch that's caved in skulls, shattered armor, pulverized stone, just stopped, completely. The Viltrumite looks at him, still calm, still cold, weak. Then he moves. Vegeta doesn't see it. None of them do. 1 second, the Viltrumite's holding Vegeta's fist. The next second, Vegeta's gone. Just gone. There's a sound like a thunderclap. Then a shockwave that flattens the purple grass for half a mile. Then, boom! A mountain explodes. Then another. Then another. 3 mountains gone, just disintegrated into dust and debris. And somewhere in that destruction, Vegeta's body finally stops tumbling. He crashes into the ground so hard, it creates a crater the size of a football field. Silence. Absolute silence. Nappa's jaw hangs open. The other Saiyans just stare, because what they just witnessed shouldn't be possible. Vegeta, the prince, the prodigy, the pride of their entire race, just got swatted away like an insect, and no one saw it happen. The Viltrumite descends slowly, landing in the same spot he was before.
Doesn't even look winded. I warned you, he says quietly. Then he looks at the rest of them. Who's next? That's when it starts, the real fight, because Saiyans don't retreat. Can't retreat.
It's not in their DNA. Nappa roars and charges. The other 3 warriors follow. The Viltrumite sighs, actually sighs like this is tedious. Then he moves again, this time. Bardock sees it. Barely. The Viltrumite becomes a blur, weaving between attacks that should be impossible to dodge. No wasted movement. Every motion efficient, calculated, brutal. A punch connects with Nappa's chest. The sound is wrong. Not a thud. A crack. Nappa's armor, built to withstand planetary explosions, shatters like glass. He's sent flying backwards so fast he creates a sonic boom. Another Saiyan swings. The Viltrumite catches the arm and breaks it, just snaps it like a twig, then tosses the warrior aside. Third Saiyan fires an energy blast point blank. The explosion lights up the sky. When the smoke clears, the Viltrumite's standing there, unharmed. Suit slightly singed. That's it. He brushes dust off his shoulder. Is that all? Bardock's watching all of this from a distance. His scouter's going insane. Because the readings don't make sense. 1 second, 18,000. Next second, 45,000. Next second, 70,000. The Viltrumite's power level isn't stable. It's fluctuating. No, not fluctuating. Adapting. He's matching the threat level. Using exactly as much power as needed. Nothing more. Nothing less. That's when Bardock realizes the truth. They're not fighting a warrior. They're fighting efficiency. Cold, calculated, merciless efficiency. The battle spreads. More Saiyans arrive. More Viltrumites appear. 3, then 5, then 10. They drop from the sky like falling stars. No announcement, no drama, just suddenly there. And the landscape starts dying. Mountains collapse. Valleys form where plains used to be. The city in the distance shakes with every impact. Bardock watches a Saiyan warrior he's known for years, a veteran who's survived 100 campaigns, get grabbed by a Viltrumite and thrown into the ground so hard the earth splits open. Watches another Saiyan fire everything he's got. A beam that could crack a moon, and the Viltrumite just flies through it. Doesn't dodge, doesn't block. Just flies through the energy like it's rain. Watches a Viltrumite take a direct hit that vaporizes his entire left side, and keep fighting, blood pouring, organs exposed, and he just keeps fighting. No screaming, no fear, like pain is just information. That's when Bardock feels it. The thing that's been crawling up his spine since they landed. Fear. Real fear. Not fear of dying, he's faced death 1,000 times. Fear of understanding, because he's finally seeing it clearly. The Viltrumites aren't monsters. They're not aliens. They're mirrors. If Saiyans had kept conquering for another 1,000 years, if they'd eliminated every emotion except efficiency, if they'd bred only for strength until nothing else remained, they'd become this. These aren't enemies. They're evolutionary endpoints, and that's terrifying. Somewhere in the chaos, Vegeta pulls himself from the crater. His armor's cracked. Blood runs down his face. His left arm hangs uselessly. But his eyes are burning, not with rage, with something worse. Recognition, respect. The Viltrumite who hit him lands in front of the crater, looking down. Still alive, he says. Impressive durability. Vegeta spits blood. What? Are you? Viltrumite. Where do you come from? The Viltrumite pauses. A world stronger than yours. Vegeta laughs. Actually laughs, broken ribs, shattered pride, and he's laughing. Good, he says. Finally, something worth fighting. The retreat happens 3 hours later. Not because they're losing, because half of them are dead. The survivors drag themselves back to the ship, some missing limbs, some bleeding from wounds that should have killed them. All of them changed. Vegeta refuses help climbing the ramp even though he can barely walk. Nappa's quiet for the first time in his life. Bardock looks back at the planet as the ship lifts off. The Viltrumites are just standing there, watching them leave. Not celebrating, not chasing, just watching like they knew this would happen, like they've seen it happen before. The flight back to Frieza's ship is silent. No one brags, no one jokes. They just sit there, processing. When they finally dock, Frieza's waiting in his throne room. The survivors line up, broken, bloodied, humiliated. Frieza looks at them for a long moment. Then his eyes find Vegeta. Well, Vegeta's jaw tightens, and for the first time in his life, the Prince of All Saiyans says something he's never said before. We need more training. Silence. Then, Frieza smiles. Not his usual cruel smile. This one's different. Genuine. Excited. Hungry. Excellent, he says softly. Because we're going back. And next time we're bringing everyone. Somewhere on Viltrum, in a council chamber carved from stone that stood for 10,000 years, the Viltrumite commander makes his report. They retreated, he says. The Grand Regent nods. Did any survive? Most of them. Interesting. The Regent's eyes narrow. Most species break after the first encounter. These, adapted, fought harder as the battle continued. Yes, sir. Power levels, moderate, but increasing during combat. The Regent stands, walking to a window that overlooks their crimson sky. Inform the military council, he says quietly. We may have found something rare, sir. worthy opponents. And in the space between empires, in the dark between stars, history begins its slow turn toward collision. Because two apex species just learned the other exists, and neither one knows how to back down. So here's what you need to understand about Frieza. He doesn't do invasions, he does statements. And right now, hovering in orbit above Viltrum, he's about to make the loudest statement the universe has ever heard. The sky above Viltrum starts disappearing, not because of clouds, not because of storms, because of ships. Thousands of them, tens of thousands. Frieza Force warships stretching from horizon to horizon, blotting out the stars like a metal eclipse. Each one bristling with weapons, each one carrying thousands of soldiers. The Ginyu Force, the armored squadron, every elite unit Frieza's ever assembled, and of course every single Saiyan warrior. Vegeta stands at the viewport of his personal ship, watching Viltrum grow larger. His wounds from the first encounter have healed, but the memory hasn't. 3 months of training, 3 months of obsessing, 3 months of replaying that moment when he got swatted aside like nothing. He's stronger now, they all are, but stronger enough? That's the question burning in his chest. Beside him, Nappa cracks his neck. This time's gonna be different. Vegeta doesn't respond, because he's not sure Nappa's right. On Viltrum's surface, alarms should be blaring, panic should be spreading. But instead, business as usual. Citizens walk through pristine cities, children attend schools, markets bustle with life. Because Viltrumites don't panic. They've conquered 1,000 worlds, they've faced every threat imaginable, and they've never lost. Not once. In the Grand Chamber, a massive circular room carved from stone that stood for millennia. The Viltrumite High Command gathers, generals, commanders, warriors who've personally destroyed civilizations. At the center stands the Grand Regent, tall, imposing, mustache that's seen 10,000 years of war. He looks at the holographic display showing Frieza's armada. Someone speaks. They brought everything. The Regent nods slowly. Good, good. It means they learned from the first encounter. He turns to face the council. It means they're intelligent, adaptable. Another voice. Should we mobilize the full military? No. Silence. This Frieza. He came here personally, didn't he? Yes, sir. His flagship's at the center of the formation. The Regent smiles. Not a friendly smile, a predator's smile. Then I'll greet him personally. He walks toward the exit, cape billowing behind him. And if he's worthy, we'll give him a war he'll never forget. Frieza's ship descends through the armada, slowly, deliberately, making them wait, making them watch. Inside his throne room, Frieza sits in his hoverpod, tail coiled, one finger tapping against the armrest. He's not nervous. Frieza doesn't do nervous, but he's anticipating, because it's been so long since anything surprised him. So long since anything mattered. The monotony of godhood gets boring after a few centuries. Zarbon stands beside him, elegant and composed. My lord, we're approaching the surface. Shall I? No. Frieza rises from his pod, actually stands. That makes everyone in the room tense, because Frieza rarely stands unless he's about to kill something. I'll go alone, he says quietly. Dodoria sputters. Alone? My lord, that's... Are you questioning me? The temperature in the room drops. No, Lord Frieza. Good. Frieza floats toward the exit. Open the bay doors. Let's see if these Viltrumites have any manners. Frieza descends, alone, through atmosphere that should burn, through clouds that part like they're afraid, through air that grows heavier with tension. He lands in the central plaza of Viltrum's capital city, a massive open space surrounded by towering architecture, statues of ancient warriors, monuments to 10,000 years of conquest. Frieza looks around, unimpressed. Quaint, he murmurs. Then he waits. 30 seconds, 1 minute, 2 minutes, making him wait. That's bold, stupid, but bold. Then the clouds above open, not naturally. Someone's descending. The Grand Regent drops from the sky like a meteor, landing 50 feet in front of Frieza with an impact that cracks the stone beneath his boots. He straightens, looks at Frieza. No fear, no awe, just evaluation, like he's sizing up a rival, not a god. Frieza's smile widens. You must be in charge. I am. The Regent's voice is deep, authoritative. Grand Regent of the Viltrumite Empire. And you're the one who sent those children to test us. Children. Frieza's smile twitches. Those were some of my finest warriors. Then you should train them better. Silence. The entire plaza holds its breath. Frieza's tail stops moving, that's the tell. When Frieza goes completely still, you're seconds away from death. But the Regent doesn't flinch, doesn't step back, doesn't apologize. He just stands there, waiting. Finally, Frieza speaks, "Tell me something." "Yes." "How many worlds have you conquered?" The question hangs in the air. The Regent considers. "Our empire spans 2,000 star systems, countless worlds, countless species." Frieza's smile returns, impressive. "I've conquered, hundreds of planets myself." Silence. Then the Regent's expression changes, not to fear, to disappointment. "Only hundreds." The words cut through the plaza like a blade. Frieza's smile disappears, completely. "What did you say?" The Regent takes a step forward. "I said, only hundreds. We've conquered thousands. Our empire's been expanding for 10 millennia. You're barely a footnote." Another step. "So I have to ask, why should we fear you?" That's when it happens. The air itself screams. Frieza's power explodes outward, not a transformation, just raw pressure. The stone beneath his feet disintegrates. The nearby statues crack, buildings shake. But the Regent doesn't move, doesn't flinch, just stands there, his own aura rising to meet Frieza's. Two gods, two empires, two egos that can't coexist. Frieza's voice drops to a whisper. "I'm going to enjoy breaking you." The Regent smiles. "You're welcome to try." Then they move. The collision is visible from orbit, a shockwave that explodes outward, shattering windows for 20 miles, sending clouds fleeing in all directions. They're not fighting in the plaza anymore, they're in the sky, then under the ocean, then inside a mountain, then through a city. Every location becomes a battlefield. Every battlefield becomes a crater. Above Viltrum, both fleets receive the same order simultaneously: engage. And that's when the real war begins. Viltrumite warriors erupt from the planet's surface, like missiles. Hundreds of them, thousands of them, ascending through atmosphere with no ships, no armor, just flesh and fury. They hit Frieza's fleet like living bullets. One punches through a destroyer's hull, another tears the wing off a cruiser. A third flies straight through the bridge of a battleship, out the other side, loops back, and does it again. Ships start exploding, not from weapons, from bodies. Meanwhile, Frieza's forces counterattack. Drop pods rain down on Viltrum's surface. Ginyu Force members touch down in major cities. Saiyan attack squads spread across continents. And the planet itself begins to scream. Vegeta lands in what used to be a military complex. Now it's rubble. Around him, a dozen Saiyan elites spread out, scanning for targets. They don't have to wait long. 3 Viltrumites descend from above, landing in formation. No words, no threats. They just attack. The battle's different this time because the Saiyans trained, adapted, learned. Vegeta blocks a punch that would have killed him 3 months ago, blocks it, counters, lands a kick that actually staggers his opponent. It's not enough to win, but it's enough to fight. Around him, the other Saiyans are holding their own. Barely. Bleeding everywhere, bones cracking but holding, and that's when Vegeta notices something. The Viltrumites aren't bored anymore. They're actually trying. One of them wipes blood from his lip, looks at Vegeta with something almost like respect. "You're stronger." Vegeta grins through the pain. "We don't stay down, neither do we." They clash again, and this time when they collide, the impact creates a crater the size of a city block. Across the planet, similar battles rage. Bardock fights alongside Fasha and Tora, trying to bring down a single Viltrumite commander. It takes all 3 of them just to match him. Energy blasts light up the sky. Fists break through mountains. The landscape itself is being reshaped by violence. And through it all, Bardock's mind is racing, because he's seeing patterns. The way Viltrumites fight, it's not random. It's not passionate. It's systematic. They target weak points, exploit openings, fight like machines programmed for efficiency. And that should make them predictable. Should. But it doesn't. Because they adapt just as fast as Saiyans do, maybe faster. Bardock watches a Viltrumite take a power blast to the chest, a blast that should have vaporized him and just heal through it. Flesh knitting back together in seconds. "What are you?" Bardock shouts. The Viltrumite smiles. Evolution's endpoint. Then he punches Bardock so hard the sound echoes across the continent. In orbit, the space battle's even worse. Because Viltrumites don't need ships. They are the ships. Ginyu tries to body swap with one of them, his signature move, unstoppable against any opponent. The Viltrumite lets him. 5 seconds later, Ginyu's consciousness is in a Viltrumite body, and he's grinning because now he's got their power. Then, the original body, now containing the Viltrumite's mind in Ginyu's form, speaks. Interesting technique. Punches through a cruiser, flies back, grabs Ginyu, forces the swap to reverse. But useless against superior will. Ginyu's never encountered that before. Someone who could resist the body swap through sheer mental strength. He barely escapes with his life. The war spreads, not just across Viltrum, across star systems, because both empires have outposts everywhere, and now they're all colliding. The Viltrumites hit a Frieza Force supply station in Sector 12. Frieza retaliates by glassing 3 Viltrumite colonies. The Viltrumites respond by destroying one of Frieza's regional headquarters. Back and forth. Escalation after escalation, and stories start spreading across the galaxy. Refugees fleeing from war zones, whispered tales and smuggler bars, reports from independent observers. A battle near the Helix Nebula destroyed 3 moons by accident. They were just collateral damage from a fistfight. Saw a planet crack in half during a beam struggle. Billions dead. The fighters didn't even notice. The stars are shaking. I'm not being poetic. Sensors detected gravitational disruptions from the battles. Reality itself is bending. 6 months into the war, something changes. Vegeta stands over a defeated Viltrumite warrior young. Maybe his age, broken but not begging. The Viltrumite looks up at him, blood running down his face. Why do you serve him? Vegeta blinks.
What? That thing, Frieza?
The Viltrumite coughs. Why do you obey? He's the strongest, is he? The Viltrumite's eyes are sharp despite the pain. Or have you just never tried? Vegeta's fist hovers, ready to finish this. But he doesn't swing. Because that question, that one question, it's the first time anyone's asked it. The Viltrumite continues, wheezing. We serve the Regent because he earned it. Proved himself strongest. Every Viltrumite can challenge him. Most do eventually. And he wins every time. That's why we follow, he spits blood. But you Saiyans, you serve out of fear. We serve out of... But Vegeta stops, because he was about to say respect, was about to say pragmatism. But it's not true. It's fear, simple, pure, primal fear. The Viltrumite sees his hesitation, actually smiles. One day you'll be strong enough to challenge him, and you'll be too afraid to try. Then he passes out. Vegeta stands there, fist still clenched, mind racing. Because that warrior, broken, defeated, bleeding, still had more pride than Vegeta's ever been allowed to feel. That's the moment it changes. Vegeta doesn't want to just defeat Viltrumites anymore. He wants to become them, not their strength. He can get that through training. Their mindset. That absolute refusal to bow. That core of steel that says I kneel for no one. Bardock's change comes differently. He's fighting alongside a squad of Saiyans against a Viltrumite patrol. They're winning barely when one of the younger Saiyans makes a mistake, gets grabbed. The Viltrumite's about to finish him when Bardock intervenes, saves the kid. Later, after the battle, the young Saiyan thanks him. Bardock just nods. But then he notices something. The Viltrumites don't do that. He's watched them fight for months now, and they never save each other. Not because they're cruel, because they don't need to. Every Viltrumite fights like they're expendable, like individual survival doesn't matter. Only the Empire matters. And that's when Bardock realizes, they're not mirrors. They're where this path leads. If Saiyans keep going, keep conquering, keep fighting, keep eliminating everything except strength, eventually the individuals stop mattering. Eventually, you become a species that views its own members as bullets to be spent. He looks at the young Saiyan he saved, sees fear there, gratitude, emotion, and thinks, we haven't lost that yet. But we're close. The war continues. Months become years. Both sides adapt. Both sides evolve. Saiyans are getting stronger, significantly stronger. The constant battle, the near-death experiences, it's triggering their Zenkai boosts constantly. Vegeta's power level has tripled. Some Saiyans have quadrupled their strength. They're becoming monsters. But so are the Viltrumites, because they're adapting too. Learning Saiyan techniques, developing counters, their tactics becoming more sophisticated. It's an arms race where both sides are accelerating toward infinity. Then, 3 years into the war, something happens that changes everything, a battle on the edges of Viltrumite space. Bardock and a mixed unit of Saiyans and Frieza Force soldiers versus a Viltrumite defensive position. They're losing. Badly. One of the Viltrumites breaks through their lines, about to slaughter a dozen soldiers. Bardock moves to intercept, but someone beats him to it. Vegeta blocks the attack, drives the Viltrumite back. The Viltrumite warrior pauses, actually looks impressed. "You're the prince." Vegeta nods. "Your people fight well. So do yours." A moment of mutual respect. Then they resume trying to kill each other. But Bardock sees it, that flicker of recognition, that understanding that they're not so different. And later, when the battle's over and they've somehow survived, Vegeta says something unexpected. "We could beat them. You know?" Bardock looks at him. "The Viltrumites?" "No." Vegeta's voice drops.
Frieza, silence. If we worked together, if we actually tried, we're strong enough now. Bardock stares at the prince. Because that's treason. That's death. That's the truth.
"Maybe?" Bardock says carefully. "But are we brave enough?" Vegeta doesn't answer. Because they both know the answer. Not yet. Somewhere in deep space, on Frieza's command ship, monitors display the ongoing war. Casualty reports, resource expenditures, battle outcomes. Frieza watches it all from his throne. Silent, calculating, Zarbon approaches carefully. "My lord, the war's been going for 3 years. Perhaps it's time to consider." "What?" Frieza doesn't look at him. "Retreat? Negotiation, my lord." Now Frieza looks, and Zarbon immediately regrets speaking. "Negotiation?" Frieza's voice is soft. "Dangerous. With equals? I didn't mean." "No, of course not." Frieza turns back to the monitors. "This war will continue until one of two things happens." "Yes, my lord." Either they bow. Frieza's smile returns. "Or I show them what a god truly looks like." His finger traces along the armrest, and somewhere deep inside, beneath the arrogance and the cruelty, a small voice whispers, "They made me work for it." When's the last time anyone did that? On Viltrum, the Grand Regent stands before a tactical display. His advisors report similar findings. 3 years, millions of casualties on both sides. No clear victor. The Regent nods slowly.
Recommendations?
Increase military production. Conscript more warriors. Fortify core worlds. No. Everyone looks at him. This, Frieza. The Regent's eyes narrow. He hasn't transformed yet. Transformed? I've been watching him, analyzing his power signature. He's holding back. The Regent straightens, which means he's waiting. For what? For us to make him try. The Regent turns to his commanders. Double our offensive. Hit every Frieza installation simultaneously. Make it hurt. Sir, that will leave our core worlds vulnerable. Good. Silence. I want him to come here, to Viltrum itself. Because when he does, the Regent's smile is terrifying. I'll finally see what he really is. And across the galaxy, in 1,000 different battles, Saiyans and Viltrumites continue their dance, growing stronger, growing faster, growing closer to the beings they were always meant to become. Not knowing that the real war hasn't even started yet. Not knowing that gods are about to collide. Not knowing that when Frieza finally gets bored of playing, the universe itself will learn to fear. 5 years. That's how long the war's been raging. 5 years of constant battle. 5 years of planets burning. 5 years of both empires throwing everything they have at each other. And you know what? Nobody's winning. That's the thing that's driving Frieza insane. Not losing, he's not losing, but not winning either. Just endless stalemate. Endless reports of victories that don't matter. Endless casualty lists that don't change anything. Endless days blurring into endless weeks, blurring into endless months of the same grinding, monotonous war. And Frieza is bored. No, worse than bored. He's irritated. On his command ship, Frieza sits in his hoverpod, listening to another report. Dodoria drones on Sector 7 reports successful repulsion of Viltrumite assault. Casualties, 4,000. Sector 9 confirms planetary bombardment complete. Viltrumite response time. Stop. Dodoria stops mid-sentence. Frieza's tail coils tighter. How many years has it been, my lord? How many years? Frieza repeats, each word carefully enunciated. Have we been fighting these insects? Dodoria swallows.
5 years, 3 months, Lord Frieza. 5 years. Frieza's voice is soft.
Dangerous. I once conquered the entire Kanasa system in 6 days. The Metamoran territories fell in 3 weeks.
The Northern Quadrant resistance collapsed in 2 months. He turns to look at Dodoria, and these Viltrumites have held me off for 5 years. Well, my lord, they are an exceptionally advanced. I wasn't asking for your analysis. Silence. Frieza turns back to the viewport, staring out at the stars. And here's the thing about Frieza that nobody really understands. He's not angry because he's losing. He's angry because he's wasting time. Time is the one resource even gods can't recover. And right now, he's spending years dealing with a species that should have been conquered in weeks. Not because they're stronger than him, because he's been holding back, playing, experimenting, curious about how long they could last. But curiosity has limits, and Frieza's patience just ran out. On the battlefield of planet Triton 7, a contested world on the border between both empires, the war rages on. Thousands of combatants, Saiyans in their armor, energy crackling around their fists. Viltrumites in their uniforms, moving through the chaos like living missiles. Frieza Force soldiers in the thousands, providing support, getting shredded, being replaced. The landscape doesn't even look like a planet anymore. It looks like someone took a world and put it through a meat grinder. Craters the size of cities, mountains that have been leveled and reformed, and leveled again. The sky itself is a permanent orange-red from all the fires and explosions and energy blasts. Vegeta fights in the center of it all, and he's magnificent. 5 years of war has transformed him. He's faster, stronger, deadlier. His power level has increased tenfold from where it started. He's not that cocky prince who got swatted aside anymore. He's a weapon forged in endless battle. A Viltrumite commander rushes him. Vegeta doesn't even blink, blocks, counters, lands a kick that sends the Viltrumite through a mountain range, follows up with an energy blast that lights up the sky. The Viltrumite survives, of course he does, but he's hurt, actually hurt. 5 years ago, that would have been impossible. Now it's expected. Bardock fights alongside Tora, back to back against 3 Viltrumites. They've developed a rhythm over the years, learned how to fight as a unit, how to cover each other's weaknesses, how to survive against opponents who should be unbeatable. Left. Bardock shouts, Tora ducks. Bardock's energy blast catches the Viltrumite who was flanking. Behind. Tora responds. Bardock spins, blocks a punch that still makes his bones scream. They're not winning this fight, but they're not losing either. And that's something. Around them, hundreds of similar battles rage. Saiyans have learned to fight in groups, something they never did before. Viltrumites have learned to use energy attacks, something they never needed before. Both species are evolving, adapting, becoming something new. Then, everything changes. The air itself shifts. Not temperature, not pressure. Something deeper, something primal. Every single combatant on the battlefield feels it simultaneously. That feeling when you're walking alone at night, and suddenly you know, absolutely know, that something's watching you. That feeling when prey realizes there's a predator nearby. That feeling of wrongness. Vegeta stops mid-punch. Bardock's energy blast fizzles out. Even the Viltrumites pause. Everyone looks up. Frieza descends from the clouds, slowly, deliberately. His hoverpod nowhere in sight. He's just floating there, arms crossed, tail swaying gently behind him. He surveys the battlefield below him, thousands of warriors, hundreds of ongoing fights. Chaos and violence and death spread across the entire continent. And on his face, nothing, no anger, no excitement, just cold, clinical assessment, like he's looking at insects. Bardock feels his blood turn to ice, because he's seen Frieza before, served under him for years. But this is different. There's something in Frieza's eyes right now, something that wasn't there before. Decision, final, irrevocable decision. Frieza's voice carries across the battlefield, not shouting, just speaking, but somehow everyone hears it perfectly. I've been far too gentle. Those 6 words hang in the air. Then Frieza transforms. Here's the thing about Frieza's transformations that most people don't understand. They're not power-ups, they're restraints being removed. His first form, the one everyone knows, with the horns and the tail, that's not his weakest form. That's his restricted form. The form he uses so he doesn't accidentally destroy everything around him. And right now, watching him transform, everyone realizes they've never actually seen him try. The air starts screaming, not metaphorically. Actually screaming. The atmosphere itself can't handle the energy being released. Frieza's body shifts, grows, muscles bulging beneath white armor, horns elongating, power radiating outward in waves that shake the planet's core. The ground beneath him disintegrates. Just gone, vaporized by proximity to his aura. Mountains in the distance start crumbling, not from attacks, from pressure, from the sheer weight of his presence warping reality. Oceans 30 miles away begin rising, pulled upward by gravitational distortions. The sky changes color. Red to purple to something that doesn't have a name, and every single warrior on that battlefield, Saiyan and Viltrumite alike, feels something they haven't felt in years. Terror, pure, primal, absolute terror. A Viltrumite commander, veteran of 1,000 battles, personally responsible for conquering 40 worlds, tries to move, can't. His body won't respond, because something deep in his brain, something ancient and preserved through millions of years of evolution, is screaming, "Do not move. Predator, apex predator. You are prey." He's not alone. Across the battlefield, warriors on both sides stand frozen. Some are shaking. Some are crying without realizing it. Some are trying to take a single step backward and finding their legs won't cooperate. Vegeta's hands are trembling. He doesn't notice. His entire focus is on Frieza because he's finally seeing it. The gap. The real gap. He thought he'd gotten stronger. He thought 5 years of war had closed the distance. But looking at Frieza now, actually looking at him, Vegeta realizes the truth. He hasn't gotten closer. Frieza was just so far ahead that the distance looked smaller from down here. Frieza's transformation completes. His second form, taller, more muscular. Horns extending backward like a crown. Power radiating from every pore. He looks down at the battlefield. Thousands of warriors, all frozen, all watching, all afraid. And he smiles, not his usual smile. This one's genuine, much better, he says softly. Then he moves. You ever see a natural disaster up close? An earthquake that splits cities? A tsunami that swallows coastlines? A volcano that blacks out the sun? That's not what this is. This is worse, because natural disasters don't have intent. Frieza descends into the battlefield like a cosmic catastrophe with a purpose. His first gesture, just a casual wave of his hand. An entire army disappears. 3,000 soldiers, Saiyan and Viltrumite and Frieza Force members who were in the wrong place. Just gone, erased, vaporized so completely there's not even ash left. Just a crater half a mile wide and smoking at the edges. The shockwave from that single gesture travels outward, flattens everything in a 2-mile radius. Warriors thrown like leaves in a hurricane. The sound comes 3 seconds later, a thunderclap that ruptures eardrums across the continent. Frieza keeps moving. A Viltrumite commander, brave, stupid, or both, charges him. Full speed, everything he's got, a punch that could shatter moons. Frieza catches it with one finger. The Viltrumite's fist stops dead against Frieza's finger, and the force of that sudden deceleration shatters every bone in the Viltrumite's arm. He screams. Frieza looks at him, curious. You're stronger than most, Frieza observes. You might have even been impressive. Might have been. Then he flicks his finger. The Viltrumite is gone, not thrown, not killed, deleted. His body can't handle the force, and simply comes apart at the molecular level. Bardock watches this from 3 miles away. Watches Frieza move through the battlefield like a force of nature. Watches armies dissolve. Watches mountains evaporate. Watches the landscape itself being rewritten by casual gestures, and he can't look away, can't move, can only watch. Tora's voice beside him, shaking. Bardock, what do we do? Bardock doesn't answer, because what do you do when you realize you've been fighting a war, but the real enemy was never fighting back? What do you do when you realize the god you serve has been toying with everyone? What do you do when you finally see? That's not a soldier, Bardock whispers. What? That's not a soldier. That's not a warrior. That's not even a king. Bardock's voice drops to barely audible. That's death. Frieza continues his march across the battlefield, not hurrying, not struggling, just walking. Energy blasts rain down on him from desperate Viltrumites. They hit. They explode. The smoke clears. Frieza's standing there, completely unharmed, looking slightly annoyed. Please, he says, don't embarrass yourselves. He points at the sky, where dozens of Viltrumites are hovering, preparing another assault. Death beam. A single finger. A single thin beam of energy. It splits into 47 separate beams mid-flight, each one finding a target with perfect precision. 47 Viltrumites fall from the sky, none of them get back up. Frieza lowers his hand. Next, the Viltrumite Grand Commander is on the battlefield. The same one who fought Vegeta to a standstill. The same one who's conquered worlds single-handedly. The same one who's never retreated, never surrendered, never known fear. He's flying straight at Frieza now. Maximum speed, both fists pulled back, screaming defiance. Frieza glances at him, just glances. The commander's advance stops, not because he wants to, because Frieza's will pins him in midair, like an insect on a board. The commander struggles, every muscle straining, veins bulging, power flaring, can't move.
Can't even twitch. Frieza tilts his head. Interesting, you're resisting my psychic pressure. That's rare. He floats closer.
Tell me, how many of your own people have you killed to reach your position?
The commander glares, jaw locked. Thousands, tens of thousands. Frieza smiles. I've killed billions. And do you know why? Closer still. Because I can. Then he releases the psychic hold. The commander drops like a stone, crashes into the ground, the impact creating another massive crater. But he's alive. Barely. Broken, battered, bleeding from everywhere, but alive. Frieza descends next to him, looks down. You fought well. You should be proud. The commander coughs blood, tries to speak. Your species fought well, Frieza continues. Really, you should all be proud. You lasted 5 years against me. Most species last 5 minutes. He turns away. But all things must end. The battlefield has gone silent. Everyone's either dead, unconscious, or too terrified to move. Frieza stands at the center of devastation that stretches to every horizon. The planet looks different now. Oceans displaced, mountains erased, the very crust fractured in places, exposing magma below. All of this in 15 minutes. 15 minutes. Frieza looks up at the sky, where both fleets are watching, raises one hand. Supernova. Above his palm, a sphere of energy forms, starts small, basketball-sized, then car-sized, then house-sized, growing, 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 the size of a city, the size of a mountain, the size of a small moon. Orange and red and purple energy swirling in impossible patterns, and everyone realizes, everyone understands. He's going to destroy the planet, not as a statement, not as a threat. He's just tired of being here. Vegeta's voice cuts through the silence. No, he's flying toward Frieza, power flaring, everything he's got. 5 years of training, 5 years of growing stronger, 5 years of becoming a warrior who can fight Viltrumites, all of it focused into one desperate attack. His fist connects with Frieza's face. The impact creates a shockwave that flattens the remaining structures. Frieza's head moves, slightly, maybe an inch, then returns to center. He looks at Vegeta and smiles. Well, the little prince has spirit. Vegeta hits him again, and again, and again. Punches that would shatter planets, kicks that would split moons, energy blasts at point-blank range. Everything. Everything! Frieza stands there and takes it, not blocking, not dodging, just allowing it. When Vegeta finally stops, exhausted, hands bleeding, breath ragged, Frieza brushes dust off his shoulder.
Are you finished?
Vegeta's response is to throw another punch. Frieza catches it. I asked, "Are you finished?" The pressure from his grip makes Vegeta's bones creak, because if you are, Frieza squeezes. Vegeta screams. Then know your place. He throws Vegeta aside, casually, almost gently. But the force is enough to send the prince skipping across the landscape like a stone on water, each impact creating a new crater. Frieza turns back to his supernova, still growing, almost complete. Bardock watches Vegeta's body finally come to rest 3 miles away. Watches the most powerful Saiyan he knows get dismissed like nothing. And something breaks inside him. Not his courage, his illusion. The illusion that they ever had a chance. The illusion that training mattered. The illusion that any of this was a war between equals. It wasn't. It never was. Frieza's been playing, and now he's bored. Around Bardock, the surviving Saiyans are coming to the same realization. Some are crying, some are laughing, that hysterical laugh that comes when reality breaks. Some are just staring, minds unable to process what they're witnessing. Because how do you process a god? How do you process of something so far beyond you that your existence is irrelevant? How do you process the fact that everything, every battle, every victory, every moment of growth was happening because he allowed it? The supernova is complete, massive, radiant, beautiful in the way natural disasters are beautiful. Frieza looks at it admiringly. 5 years, he says to no one in particular. 5 years of my time. Do you know how many planets I could have conquered in 5 years? He looks down at the battlefield, at the survivors. Saiyan, Viltrumite, all broken, all defeated, all finally understanding. This is the price of wasting my time. He prepares to throw the supernova when a voice calls out, weak, barely audible, but defiant. Is that all you've got? Everyone turns, the Viltrumite Grand Commander still alive, pulling himself from the crater. Half his body broken, blood pouring from a dozen wounds, but standing, actually standing. Frieza pauses. The commander spits blood. 5 years, and you need a planet killer to beat us. He staggers forward 1 step. Pathetic. Silence. Absolute silence. Then, Frieza laughs, actually laughs. Genuine amusement in his voice. Oh, I like you. He waves his hand, and the supernova dissipates. Just gone. All that energy dismissed. Very well, you've earned your planet's survival. For now, he floats upward, ascending back toward his ship. But remember this day. Remember what happens when I stop being gentle. His voice echoes across the battlefield. Next time, I won't be. Then he's gone. The battlefield remains silent for a long time. Nobody moves. Nobody speaks. They just stand there, processing. Finally, Bardock finds his voice.
Mine. Look. Mine. We
Next time he won't stop. On Frieza's ship, the Emperor returns to his throne room. Zarbon and Dodoria are there waiting nervously. My lord, that display was necessary. Frieza interrupts. They needed a reminder. He settles into his hover pod. The Viltrumites will be more cooperative now, and the Saiyans, His smile returns. The Saiyans will train harder, push themselves further, become stronger. Zarbon frowns. My lord, isn't that dangerous? If they get too strong, they won't. Frieza's voice is certain. The gap is too large. They could train for 100 years and still not reach me, but they'll be useful. When the time comes, he leans back, closing his eyes. Not worried, not concerned, because gods don't worry about insects. Even insects that are growing. On the battlefield of Triton 7, medics arrive. Survivors are evacuated, the wounded treated, the dead counted, and in a medical tent, Vegeta lies unconscious, his body broken but healing. In his dreams, he sees one thing, Frieza's face, that calm, amused smile, that casual dismissal. And in those dreams, Vegeta makes a promise. One day, I'll wipe that smile off his face. No matter what it takes, no matter how long, I'll surpass him. And then he'll know fear. The prince doesn't know it yet, but this is the moment that will define everything that comes after. The moment a warrior becomes obsessed. And obsession. That's the seed from which legends grow. So here's what you need to understand about surrender. Real surrender isn't about raising white flags. It's not about signing treaties. It's about the moment a species looks at the universe and realizes fighting is pointless. And 3 months after Frieza's display on Triton 7, that's exactly what happens. The Viltrumite High Council gathers in their ancient chamber, the same room where they've planned conquests for 10,000 years, the same room where they've never, not once, discussed surrender. Until today. The Grand Regent stands at the center, and he looks old. Not physically. Viltrumites don't age like that, but old in the way warriors get when they've finally met something they can't defeat. Frieza has sent terms, he says quietly. The room stays silent. Everyone knows what's coming. We can serve him. Pause, or he returns, and this time, he doesn't finish. Doesn't need to. Everyone saw the footage from Triton 7. Everyone knows what Frieza can do when he stops playing. One of the younger commanders, still proud, still angry, stands up. We're Viltrumites, we don't serve. The regent looks at him. We're also pragmatists. We survive. This isn't survival. It's slavery. No. The regent's voice is firm. Slavery is what happens to conquered species. Frieza isn't asking us to be conquered. He's asking us to be useful. The distinction matters, because Frieza's smart enough to know you can't rule an empire on fear alone. Fear keeps people obedient, but usefulness keeps people alive. The vote happens in silence, no speeches, no debates, just hands raised. When it's done, Viltrum has chosen survival. The announcement goes out across all Viltrumite territories, not as a surrender, as a strategic alliance, as a merger of interests. The propaganda's impressive, really. Makes it sound like a choice, like they had options. But in the streets of Viltrum's capital, citizens know better. They see the Frieza Force ships arriving, see the banners changing, see their commanders taking orders from aliens they were trying to kill last week, and they understand. This is what losing looks like. Not invasion, not destruction, just absorption. Your empire becomes a footnote in someone else's story. 6 months later, the galaxy looks different. Frieza Force ships now carry mixed crews, Viltrumite warriors standing alongside Saiyan elites. Frieza's regional commanders now include Viltrumites who've proven their loyalty. And the conquests, they become surgical, efficient, terrifying. Because imagine being a planet that's held off Frieza's forces before. You've got defenses, you've got strategies, you've survived. Then you see what's coming this time. Saiyan ground forces who grow stronger with every battle. Viltrumite strike teams who don't need ships or supplies or rest. Coordination between two apex predator species. Worlds that used to take months to conquer. Now they fall in days. Sometimes hours. And the stories spread. Frieza has 2 warrior races now. The Saiyans and Viltrumites serve him. If they couldn't resist, what chance do we have? Rebellions stop happening, not because they're crushed, because they never start. Hope itself becomes extinct. 2 years into the new empire, Bardock stands on the training grounds of Planet Frieza No. 63, one of hundreds of military installations scattered across the galaxy. He's watching something he never expected to see. Young Saiyans and young Viltrumites, training together. And not just training, competing. A Saiyan kid, maybe 13, throws a punch. A Viltrumite kid blocks it, counters. They break apart, both grinning. Again, the Saiyan shouts, "You're too slow." The Viltrumite responds. They clash again. This time, the Saiyan's faster. Lands a solid hit. The Viltrumite goes down, surprised. Bardock expects anger, resentment. Instead, the Viltrumite laughs. Actually laughs. Gets up, brushes himself off. "How'd you do that?" "Watched my dad's training tapes. There's this technique where..." And they're talking, sharing strategies, helping each other. Like they weren't trying to kill each other's species 5 years ago. Fasha walks up beside Bardock, watching the same scene. Strange, isn't it? Bardock nods. Kids adapt faster than we do. It's not just kids. She gestures across the training grounds. Everywhere, mixed units, Saiyans and Viltrumites sparring, exchanging techniques, pushing each other harder than either group would alone. Because here's the thing about warriors, they respect strength. And both species finally found someone else who understands what it means to live for the fight. They're becoming friends, Fasha says quietly. Bardock watches a young Saiyan help a Viltrumite perfect his energy blast technique. Watches a Viltrumite show a Saiyan how to fly more efficiently. And thinks, this should be good. This should be progress. So why does it terrify him? 3 years in, Vegeta stands in his private training chamber, pushing himself to the limit. Again, always again, he's obsessed. Not with defeating Viltrumites anymore, with defeating Frieza. Every day, the same routine. Wake up, train until collapse, heal, train again. His power level has doubled since Triton 7, then doubled again. He's stronger than he's ever been. Stronger than most Saiyan warriors will ever be. And it's still not enough. Not even close. The door opens. A Viltrumite commander enters. Thragg, one of the younger generals around Vegeta's age. They've fought together on a dozen campaigns now. "You're pushing too hard," Thragg says. "Not hard enough," Vegeta responds, not stopping his training. Thragg watches for a moment. "You know it's pointless, right? What, the gap between us and him?" Thragg's voice is matter of fact. "It's too large. We could train for a century." "Then I'll train for 2 centuries. Vegeta, I don't need your realism." Vegeta finally stops, turns to face him. "I need to get stronger." Thragg studies him, sees something familiar in that desperation, because Viltrumites understand pride, understand the need to prove yourself. "There might be another way," Thragg says slowly. "What way?" "Together." Vegeta blinks. "What?" "Your people grow stronger through near-death experiences. Mine grows stronger through extended combat and survival." Thragg steps closer. "But we've noticed something in training. When we fight together, actually together, not just side by side, we push each other past limits neither could reach alone." Vegeta's quiet for a moment, processing. "You're saying?" "I'm saying, maybe the answer isn't individual strength." Thragg's eyes are intense. "Maybe it's combined evolution. The idea sits between them. Dangerous, revolutionary. Frieza would never allow it," Vegeta says. Then we don't tell him. 4 years in, Bardock notices the shift. It's subtle at first. Power level readings slightly higher than expected. Recovery times slightly faster. Combat effectiveness slightly improved. But slightly compounds. And when you've got thousands of warriors all improving slightly, it becomes significant. He's reviewing reports in a command center when it hits him. Average Saiyan power level 4 years ago, 3,000. Average Saiyan power level now, 12,000. That's a 400% increase in 4 years. That's not normal. That's not even close to normal. He pulls up Viltrumite data, similar curves, faster healing, stronger combat performance, greater endurance. Like both species are feeding off each other's evolution. "Fasha," he calls over. "Look at this." She studies the screens, goes pale. "How is this possible?" "I don't know." Bardock's mind is racing. "But I don't think Frieza's noticed yet. Should we report it?" Bardock hesitates. Because reporting it means Frieza pays attention, and when Frieza pays attention to threats, he eliminates them. "Not yet," he says finally. "Let's monitor it." 5 years in, the youngest generation doesn't remember the war. They grew up in Frieza's empire, grew up seeing Saiyans and Viltrumites as allies, grew up training together, competing together, dreaming together. In one training facility, a mixed unit is running drills. 10 Saiyans, 10 Viltrumites, all under 20 years old. Their instructor, a veteran Viltrumite, watches them with something close to pride. "Form up," he barks. They move as one unit. No hesitation, no division, just warriors. The instructor calls for a combat simulation. The team faces holographic opponents, meant to be challenging for their age group. They tear through it in 3 minutes. A new record. The instructor increases difficulty. They adapt, overcome, win again. He keeps increasing it, keeps pushing, until he's running simulations meant for elite veterans. And these kids, these 20-year-olds, are holding their own. Afterward, they're all laughing, high-fiving. A Saiyan kid helps a Viltrumite who got injured. A Viltrumite shares energy rations with a tired Saiyan. No grudges, no hatred, just brotherhood. The instructor makes a note in his report. Current generation showing unprecedented capability. Mixed unit effectiveness exceeds individual species performance by estimated 47%. Recommend continued integration. He doesn't realize he's documenting the creation of something that will change everything. 6 years in, Frieza's throne room. Daily reports scroll across screens. Territory expansion, optimal. Resource extraction, maximum efficiency. Rebellion activity, 0. Everything's perfect. Then a different report catches his eye. Anomalous power level increases detected. Saiyan territories, plus 350% average Viltrumite territories, plus 280% average mixed units, plus 470% average. Frieza stares at the numbers. Reads them again. Zarbon, his advisor, appears immediately. "Yes, Lord Frieza? These power level reports. When did they start? Approximately 6 years ago, my lord? When we integrated the Viltrumites, and nobody thought to mention this." Zarbon swallows. "The increases were gradual, my lord, and still well below your own power. I didn't ask if they threatened me." Frieza's voice is cold. "I asked why nobody told me. I apologize, my lord." Frieza waves him away, still studying the data. His analytical mind is racing, because he sees it now. The pattern. Saiyans grow stronger through near-death experiences. Zenkai boosts. Viltrumites grow stronger through brutal survival. Evolutionary pressure. Both species are warriors. Both species thrive on conflict. Both species push each other constantly. And together, they're creating a feedback loop. Saiyans push Viltrumites harder. Viltrumites survive, evolve, push back harder. Saiyans nearly die. Zenkai boost. Get stronger, which makes Viltrumites fight harder, which triggers more Zenkai boosts. On and on. Exponential growth. Impossible. Frieza whispers, but the data doesn't lie. That night, Frieza can't sleep. Not that he needs sleep, but he enjoys it occasionally. Tonight, though, his mind won't stop, because he's made a mistake. Not a tactical mistake. A strategic one. He conquered the Viltrumites to gain warriors. He kept the Saiyans as attack dogs. Simple plan. Effective plan. Except, he put them together. Let them train together. Let them bond. Let them become something new. And now they're not just warriors anymore. They're something he didn't plan for, something he didn't predict, something that might actually... No. Frieza dismisses the thought. He's still infinitely stronger, still untouchable, still God tier. These numbers, impressive as they are, don't threaten him, can't threaten him. But there's a small voice in the back of his mind, a voice that sounds like his father decades ago. Never underestimate exponential growth. It starts slow. Then it swallows you. Frieza's tail coils tighter. 7 years in, Vegeta and Thragg stand before a holographic display. They're reviewing combat data from recent operations. Look at this. Thragg points to a graph. Unit 7 Delta, mixed team. 12 members. Took down a target that command estimated would need 50 soldiers. Vegeta studies it. How? They fight differently. Not as individuals, as a
System? Like an organism?
Exactly. Thragg pulls up more data, and their power levels. Vegeta, look at the individual measurements. Vegeta goes still. Because some of these warriors' kids, really barely 20, have power levels approaching his own. How long have they been training? 7 years, since they were 13. Vegeta's been training his entire life. These kids started at 13, and in 7 years, we created something. Thragg says quietly. When we put our species together, something neither of us could become alone. Vegeta's mind is spinning because he sees it now. The strategy that might actually work, not individual strength, collective evolution. We need to accelerate this, he says. Accelerate what? The integration, the training, everything. Vegeta's eyes are burning. We need every young warrior training in mixed units. Now, Frieza will notice. Let him notice. Vegeta's voice is hard. By the time he realizes what's happening, it'll be too late. 8 years in, Bardock stands in a command center, watching real-time power-level data stream in from across the galaxy. And his blood runs cold. Because the numbers are accelerating. Not linearly, exponentially. 8 years ago, average power level 3,000. 7 years ago, 8,000. 6 years ago, 12,000. 5 years ago, 18,000. 4 years ago, 27,000. 3 years ago, 40,000. 2 years ago, 63,000. 1 year ago, 95,000. And now, current average 140,000. The elite units, 250,000. The absolute best warriors approaching 400,000. This can't be right, someone says beside him. But Bardock knows it is, because he's been watching it happen. Watching warriors push each other, watching near-death experiences trigger Zenkai boosts, watching Viltrumites survive impossible odds and come back stronger, watching both species learn from each other, adapt, evolve, together. And the scary part? It's accelerating. The rate of growth itself is increasing. In another 5 years, in another 10, where will they be? We have to tell Frieza, someone says.
No.
Bardock responds immediately. What? Why? Because the moment we tell him, Bardock's voice is quiet. He'll kill us all. On Frieza's command ship, alarms start going off. Not physical alarms, data alarms. Systems detecting power level spikes across multiple sectors simultaneously. Frieza appears in the command center, still in his sleeping pod. What's happening? An analyst looks up, face pale. My lord, the power level monitoring systems. Yes? They're detecting readings we thought were errors, but they're not errors. The analyst pulls up a galaxy-wide map, thousands of dots, each representing a warrior, each color-coded by power level. 8 years ago, the map was mostly green, low-level readings. Now, the map is yellow, orange in places, and some dots are red, approaching Frieza's own first form power level. How many? Frieza's voice is dangerously quiet. How many? What, my lord? How many warriors with power levels above 100,000? The analyst checks, goes silent. Analyst. I asked a question. 3,000, my lord. Above 200,000. 400. Above 300,000. 37. Silence. Then, show me their locations. The map zooms, and Frieza sees the pattern. Every single high-power warrior is in a mixed unit. Every single one trains with both species. Every single one grew up in his empire, and he understands. Finally understands. He didn't conquer 2 species, he created a third, a hybrid culture, taking the best of both, eliminating the weaknesses of each, growing stronger together than either could alone. His smile, that eternal, confident smile, disappears for the first time in centuries. Impossible, he whispers. But the data doesn't lie. Somewhere on a training planet, a young Saiyan Viltrumite unit just registered a combined power level that made the sensors glitch. Somewhere else, 2 warriors who grew up as rivals, as friends, as brothers, just pushed each other past limits that should be impossible. And across the galaxy, in thousands of training facilities, millions of warriors are doing the same thing, growing, evolving, becoming. Frieza stares at the screen, and for the first time since he was a child, feels something he hasn't felt in so long, he almost doesn't recognize it. Not fear, not yet, but concern. Real, genuine concern. Because exponential growth doesn't stop, it compounds. And if these numbers keep increasing at this rate, in 5 years, they'll match him. In 10 years, they'll surpass him.
In 20 years, my lord? The analyst's voice breaks his thoughts. What are your orders? Frieza doesn't answer, because he's facing a problem he's never faced before.
The enemy isn't outside his empire. It's growing inside it. And if he tries to stop it now, if he purges them, kills them, eliminates the threat, He loses his army, his conquests stop, his empire crumbles. But if he doesn't stop it, then one day, maybe soon, these warriors he created will realize something. They don't need him anymore. And that day, the Emperor will learn what it means to face perfect evolution. In his private chamber, Frieza makes a decision. He'll wait, he'll watch, he'll prepare. And when the time comes, he'll show them why even perfect evolution bows to perfect power. But deep inside, buried beneath layers of arrogance and ego, a tiny voice whispers, "What if it's already too late?" The throne room of Frieza's empire had always been silent. Not ordinary silence. The kind of silence that existed because fear itself lived there. No one spoke unless ordered. No one moved unless permitted. Even the soldiers standing along the massive black walls kept their eyes lowered. The room stretched endlessly into darkness, illuminated only by pale purple light reflecting off polished metal floors. And at the center of it all, Frieza sat on his throne, relaxed, calm, one hand supporting his cheek, eyes half closed. Years had passed since the fall of the Viltrumite Empire. Years since Frieza had united the universe beneath one banner. No rebellions, no wars.
No resistance, nothing. The universe had become quiet, exactly as he wanted. Yet, Frieza hated it, because Frieza had conquered everything.
And once everything belongs to you, nothing can surprise you anymore. Then suddenly, beep, the sound echoed through the throne room. Frieza's eyes slowly opened. A communication request. Strange, nobody contacted him directly anymore. Not unless they wanted to die. The doors burst open. A soldier stumbled inside. He wasn't walking, he was falling. His breathing was broken. His armor was damaged. Blood dripped from his forehead. The room instantly became colder, because everyone present understood something impossible had happened. This man had entered Frieza's throne room without permission, meaning whatever terrified him was greater than his fear of Frieza. The soldier collapsed, his body shook violently. Frieza didn't move, didn't blink, didn't even look interested. He simply sighed, explained. The soldier swallowed hard. "Lord Frieza." His voice cracked. "Our outer systems," Frieza's expression remained unchanged. "Yes?" They've stopped responding. Silence. No reaction. Then Frieza slowly lifted his head. "Who attacked them?" The soldier looked up, but his face wasn't showing fear anymore. No, it showed confusion, pure confusion, because what he witnessed made no sense. "Not attacked." Frieza's eyes narrowed. The soldier continued. "United." Silence. Absolute silence. For the first time in years, Frieza sat upright.
What did you say?
The soldier's breathing became uneven. We investigated. We thought it was a rebellion. We thought it was survivors. But his voice dropped. "They aren't fighting each other." Frieza stared. The soldier looked like he was reliving a nightmare. Saiyans, Viltrumites, they're together. Frieza's face remained calm, but slowly, very slowly, his fingers tightened around his throne. Cracks began forming beneath his hand. The soldier continued speaking. "Entire sectors are joining them. Worlds are surrendering willingly. Military bases aren't resisting. Nobody is resisting." Frieza stood. The room froze. Because Frieza never stood. "Not unless someone was about to die. Show me." Immediately, the center of the room illuminated. A giant galactic projection appeared. Thousands of stars filled the darkness. Then, entire sectors started turning red, one after another, then another, then another. Frieza stared silently. Outer territories, military worlds, trade systems, entire regions disappearing from his control. No battles recorded, no destruction, no signs of invasion, just silence. Then suddenly a signal appeared. Unknown fleet detected. The projection zoomed outward, far beyond Imperial borders, far into deep space. At first, it looked like stars. Millions of tiny lights scattered through darkness. Then the image sharpened, and everyone in the throne room stopped breathing. Ships. Millions of ships. An army so large that it looked like an entire galaxy was moving. Soldiers filled space itself. Saiyan battle armor. Viltrumite insignias. Worlds united under a symbol nobody recognized. Even Frieza's elite guards took unconscious steps backward, because numbers like this didn't exist. Not even during the Viltrum War. Then the image zoomed closer. At the front, two figures floated in silence. Frieza's eyes widened slightly. Not much, just enough. Vegeta, Bardock, standing side by side, the room felt unreal. Years ago, they would have killed each other. Years ago, Saiyans and Viltrumites would have torn themselves apart. But now, they stood together. Vegeta crossed his arms. His face had changed. No arrogance, no childish rage, just certainty. Bardock stared forward, calm, focused, like a warrior who finally understood why he fought. Then another figure appeared. Then another, and another. Young Saiyan warriors, Viltrumite warriors, generals, entire generations standing together. Frieza's eyes slowly moved across the army. Then realization hit him, like ice entering his veins. He remembered Bardock's words. He remembered the reports, the increasing power levels, the endless growth. Saiyans grew stronger after surviving death. Viltrumites evolved through brutal conflict. Together, they had pushed each other endlessly. Competition became evolution. Evolution became power. Power became something entirely new. Frieza finally understood. He hadn't conquered the Viltrumites. He hadn't united the universe. He had created something far worse. He had accidentally created a race that no longer needed him. And for the first time in centuries, Frieza felt something unfamiliar. Not anger, not irritation, not pride, fear, real fear. Then a transmission request appeared. Incoming message, sender, Vegeta. Silence filled the throne room. Frieza stared, accepted, the screen activated. Vegeta appeared, no smile, no arrogance, just cold eyes staring directly into Frieza's soul. For several seconds nobody spoke. Then Vegeta finally smiled. A very small smile. You know, we spent years serving you. Frieza remained silent. Vegeta continued. We fought your wars. We conquered your worlds. We feared you. Behind him, millions of warriors stood still, watching, waiting. Then, Bardock stepped beside him. He looked directly at Frieza. You once destroyed futures because you were afraid of what they could become. Silence. Frieza's expression hardened. Bardock continued. This time, you made the future yourself. Vegeta uncrossed his arms. His aura slowly began rising. Then behind him, millions of auras ignited. Saiyan gold, Viltrumite white. Energy spread across space itself. Stars disappeared beneath the light. The throne room shook. Alarms screamed. Power readings exploded beyond calculation. Soldiers collapsed. Scouters shattered instantly. One after another. Then another. Then another. Numbers stopped existing. And Vegeta smiled. You ruled history long enough. The screen suddenly cut to black. Silence. Absolute silence. Frieza stared into darkness. No movement. No words. Then, very slowly, Frieza smiled. Not his usual smile. Not arrogance. Not amusement. A smile with uncertainty hidden underneath it. Because for the first time in centuries, Frieza finally had something he lost long ago, a challenge. The camera slowly pulls away. Away from the throne room, away from the Empire, away into deep space, where millions upon millions of lights continue moving forward, toward Frieza, toward destiny, toward war. Then everything fades to black. Frieza changed history, and history came back for him.